We're like the older generation now, bagging on the younger generation. We've reached that age. We're starting to do that.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we didn't have social media. Well, we did, but we had MySpace. We had our top 5 friends on MySpace.
It was different. It was certainly different, and it wasn't in your pocket.
That's
You know.
right.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That instant gratification. You can instantly. I have my phone right here, sitting below me. I can instantly just go right on Instagram and see what's going on and see who's getting new jobs everywhere and who's becoming a new CEO of their company. They're really,
Right.
even though they're really not. We're becoming the generation. We're becoming that part of the generation where
Yep.
we scream at the clouds. That
We got
story. I
more to
hope
go. We got the best years of screaming at the clouds ahead of us.
we do. We very much so. That story though really hit me because again, you and I both look at it that, and I'll admit it, I don't care, but we both look at our age as older than what we really are because we were conditioned and we hear it and we follow these things. We follow sports obviously, and we work in sport. We are so conditioned in our minds to think that, hey, it's out there, you're on the wrong side of 30, when in the real world that really doesn't matter. You're on the wrong side of 30, people will look at you crazy, and they do when you say that.
Right.
But athletes always have that insecurity about their age because it's always drilled into their head that you have a very short window from this age to this age where you're in your prime, and really you're not even close to being in the real prime of your life yet.
Yeah, it's so great you said that. We still do have some pro athletes that come through our building to train, and it was one of their birthdays. They had turned 24. I was like, hey, happy birthday, man. And he was almost like, he looked so like sullen and drawn, and he was like, I can't believe I'm 24 and I haven't made it to this level yet. He's like, I have maybe one more year left to try to do this. Like in his head, he had like missed this massive opportunity. And again, that all lends to like, we train ourselves so well as an athlete in a game, in a pressure situation, to be present. Win this pitch, good, move on to the next one. And that's the only way we handle all these pressures right on the field, is by being present. And then yet we go out and like look at every other situation like, oh, I should have done this. What if this doesn't happen? Oh my goodness. Like we allow all these pressures to cave in on us then, instead of probably utilizing some of those tactics into, other parts of our life.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, I encourage everybody to go out and I remember when I was a kid and the Phillies brought up Chase Utley and made him the full-time second baseman when he was 26 years old. And you would think, when looking at it from the lens of athletics, that's 26 years old, first round draft pick, his window, it gets a little bit smaller for how long he's going to be in the major leagues. And he had a very, very nice career, obviously. But I wonder if he would have come up at 24, how much more his athletic career would have been, his baseball career would have been extended. But looking at it from the real world perspective, 26, we're still kids at that point. People
Right.
say when you're in your 20s, you're still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I don't disagree. And you know what? Maybe that is something that's it's scientifically looking at a male versus a female too. A female's body, as I think the female's body starts around like 21, starting to like hormone shifts change a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability for the body to recover, it starts to, or like to even produce power. Like your body's essentially prepping you for like baby time, right? And it's
sure.
Your hormone shifts so massively that it makes it even more difficult sometimes for a female to play a little bit longer or have that much demand on their body. So, and again, I've mentioned there's not a professional outlet really for softball. There's some potential opportunities here and there, but it is very well known that like you have until the age of 22. When you're in high school, you enter high school, it's like, all right, you have 8 years left to do this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think like it's usually very finite for at least for females there.
I do wonder if athletes, if they were told that at that young age, when they enter high school, hey, look, here's the deal. You have 8 years at least, possibly. If you work hard and you have enough talent, you have 8 years left to play, male and female. Then after that, you're finished. Wonder if that shift to that mindset. And I'm not for when coaches say you're not going to be a professional athlete or none of you are going to be professional athletes. I think that's bullshit. I think you saying that to your students as a coach is projecting. I think it's the wrong thing to say. But I think there needs to be, if you're going to say to somebody or encourage them to reach their athletic peak, and if they want to play professionally, I think there needs to be that disclaimer in there where but this is how many years you do have left guaranteed if you work hard and you have the talent. You have those 8 years from the time you're 14 to when you reach the end of college at 22, whether you go D1, D2, or D3.
Right. Yeah, and you know, maybe that changes perspective. I knew the end of Alabama was going to be the end of my career, and that was freeing in a lot of ways too. I didn't have this like bone on the end of a string like dragging me along, and I don't know. It allows you to pour everything you have, almost more so, right? Like it's like, okay, I can. My body doesn't feel like great. No big deal. I only have 2 years left to do this. I'm feeling a little stressed. No big deal. I only have 1 year left to do this. I only have 3 months left to do this. Like I knew. And in a ways, I don't think that's a burden. I think that was like a very big blessing that we knew. Like we knew this was coming to an end, and this was going to be the highest level that we could play. Because even if we did play pro, it probably wouldn't come close to mattering as much as what was going on in college.
Right. And financially, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Even like financially, like even purposeful wise, like you have someone who's like, yeah, we won the pro championship, which is, I'm not taking anything away from that, but that's a 4-team tournament that gets played like over the course of a couple months where everybody comes and watches the World Series. And, you know, that's become a much bigger deal. So besides the Olympics, which at the time softball wasn't in the Olympics when we played it, I don't know what else you could win that would be bigger than the World Series, you know?
Yeah. And again, it sets a date for when things are ending. So then you can really set up your post life. And again, somebody like, say, we bring this guy up all the time, Tom Brady, he is pretty much set that, hey, this is his last season. He gives him the opportunity mentally and also in the physical world to set up what he's going to do post career. And that's where I think athletes get in trouble in the beginning in their post athletic life. We'll get to that in just a second. I do want to promote our social media. I'm at Jim Tara. Cassie is at Coach_Cassie RB on Instagram, at Coach Cassie RB on Twitter. Email us to jimbopodcast21@gmail.com. Episode 11, navigating your life post athletic career. But I think that's a huge part of it too. Knowing when that, we've said this before on the program, knowing when that end date comes, and knowing that, hey, okay, this is when it's happening. Now I can set things up for myself, even if it's something small like your physical fitness or staying in shape, your workout programs of how to stay in shape, things like that. Every little thing can now fall into place for you in a crazy, hectic world when you're post-athletic career and you're at that phase.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because I definitely viewed it as like this like it was this big bad thing that was happening, the end of my softball career. I always viewed it as a negative, but in the same breath, there's a lot of positives. And funny enough, my parents, they gave me a jar when I graduated, and it was tiny little pieces of paper of 101 things to look forward to in life after softball. And they had been working on it for almost a year to just every time they thought of something like, oh, you can go skiing again, not worried about getting hurt. And, you know, you don't have to miss family engagements, communions and graduations and birthday parties and whatever else because you have softball. Like there are really cool aspects of your life after your sport. It just becomes very difficult to realize that all at once because it does take some time.
How did you navigate your friendships, relationships? How did you navigate all of that post-athletic career? Because, you know, when you're in college and you're playing a sport, you're very much shut off from a lot of things that are going on the outside with frat parties, sorority parties, the rush week, all of that kind of stuff. And you have your teammates, certainly. But once this all comes to an end, how did you navigate your friendships and building relationships with people?
That's so funny you said that. It didn't hit me until I was sitting in my first class at Northern Iowa that I didn't really make any friends. I had a lot of acquaintances, I would say, at Alabama, but my true friends were my teammates.
Sure.
And then I think back to high school, and again, I had acquaintances, but my true friends were my teammates. And so now I'm sitting there and I'm like, when have I ever learned how to make a friend? Like, it was just like this shocking realization that like, I didn't know how to make friends.
You question your social skills.
What do people talk about besides softball? Like, you know, it's just sitting in class.
I'm the same way with baseball. And sometimes, even to this day, sometimes I even do that. What do people talk about if it's not baseball? Oh, I don't know. The NFL, gym, college football.
It's very funny. Well, even in my profession, I still am around sports so much. And you know, I'll go to a wedding and I'll be sitting at a table with people and I'll look and I'll be like, what do you talk about? Like, what's this? What's this coming up? So it is interesting. It was very, I think that, again, that took time. And that was a little bit of a lonely feeling to realize, well, my best friends, the people I spent, basically people I call my family, and 10 years later, I still have almost every teammate coming to my wedding in a couple months. We still see each other at least once or twice a year. It's still such an important friendship, but we live thousands of miles apart. You know, it's not like someone you're going to go have dinner with on a Tuesday night. So that was different to navigate. That was certainly something to learn how to do.